if you're a diabetic and you do these changes 100%, you're going to have low blood sugar. You're going to have low blood pressure, and you're going to need to be weaned off your medications. If you're on insulin, you will need half the amount of insulin you normally need. So your sugars are going to crash. So make sure you're ready for that, and talk to your doctor. The doctor won't know anything really about what we're talking about because most doctors don't promote this type of eating style. You're going to need decreased meds, insulin, and I'm showing you eat this way. So we know that the few slides that talk about the problem that we have now. People have chronic disease. At the VA, the average was 3. I mean, hypertension, high cholesterol, those two, 85% of the people have it anyway. Those are considered chronic diseases that if you don't take care of them, you're going to have problems, especially hypertension, which is called the silent killer because it destroys your arteries, it destroys your kidneys, and then you end up having a stroke or Alzheimer's disease. So it's a silent killer. People don't really know. There's not really anything happening until you have the big one. Then 4 in 10 have more than one chronic disease. You see the chronic diseases are heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, kidney disease, and the newest one we're seeing is the fatty liver disease, which is creating a lot of problems for people. People eat a lot of animal fat and added oils, and because of that, their liver gets jammed up with fat. It can't function. You get hepatitis, and then you die. So that's a new one, but because of the obesity crisis, it's growing in leaps and bounds. We see that it's rising. This is no problem. I mean, this is not controversial. We see that diabetes is going up. We're seeing it in children, type 2 diabetes in children that we've never seen before. And it's going up. In the United States, 37 million people have diabetes, 1 in 5. And you probably know somebody with diabetes. And as I was hearing Teresa talk in the other room, I heard her say that her daughter had prediabetes. And so, you know, prediabetes is another 20 million people that have high sugar, not high enough to treat, but the doctor says your sugar's high, you have prediabetes, you know, do a little bit better on your diet, lose a little bit of weight, it'll go away. But people don't really do it. Remember, only 4% of my patients ever did anything. 4%, I calculated it out before I left the VA, and I looked at all the patients I had for the previous 10 years. I said, who's losing weight, who's controlling their blood sugar, who's doing anything? 4 out of 100. Because this takes a commitment. I mean, you people that have been, were here since last time, I might say to you, are you a plant-based, no oil eater? And you might say, well, not yet. You have to make that commitment. When you make the commitment 100%, you get 100% success, 50% success, and on we go. So we're here to encourage you and inspire you to do this, if you can. I heard it said once, this way of eating is simple, but it's not easy because it takes that commitment to do it. You got to realize these foods that you're eating now are disease-causing foods. And so when I look at dairy now, all I see is poison. Just like if you were a smoker and you quit smoking and you go, oh, that stuff's nasty, I'd never do that again. That's the way you have to think about these things. If you can, get to that point. And that's why my wife and I, we do a lot of reading. We watch videos on YouTube. We continue to hang around with people that are setting a high standard. And it helps us to continue because there's a lot of temptation out there, right? You retire, you know, you got time. All your friends want to do is go out to eat, right? And what's out there? There's a lot of foods out there that we like or we used to eat that are tempting, and we think we can eat them in moderation. So what causes diabetes? We know that it's a complex thing of what causes diabetes. We have obesity is a main driver of diabetes, your genetics, sedentary lifestyle. Of course, if you're not moving, walking is the best exercise anybody can do. You got high fat and cholesterol and high blood pressure. The genetics is just a predisposing factor, which doesn't have to mean that you're going to become diabetic. Carbs the enemy. Carbs have a bad rap right now, a bad reputation, and it's unfounded because, again, when you look at cultures that eat the most carbohydrates in Asia, noodles, rice, wontons, they're not obese and they don't have diabetes. In the 1950s, when McDonald's came to Asia, that's when the diabetic rate and the obesity rate went up. You might recall that from last time. So as people's diets changed away from the traditional Asian diet, which was heavy on carbs and vegetables, low on processed food, then you see the diabetes epidemic even in Asia. Eating too much sugar gives you diabetes. Well, that's wrong. Now, sugar is in fruit. It's a natural sugar. But eating sugar with large amounts of fat that's in desserts and these types of things will raise your blood pressure. They don't necessarily cause diabetes, but they do raise your blood sugar. We want to attack diabetes at the root cause. And the root cause, if you might remember from last time, is your obesity and the fat in your diet. High carb diet and weight loss. So again, eating carbs without fat, eating high nutrient carbohydrates will benefit you in many ways. We'll see that in a little bit later. We see obesity as the main driver of diabetes in this country. You see as the yellow line goes up, body weight, the red line goes up, diabetes. So since 1990, you see that straight line going up, which shows that diabetes and obesity are following each other quite closely. You see that if you're eating a vegan diet with no oil, you're in the healthy BMI range. If you eat milk and eggs, you might be a little bit bigger. If you eat fish, a little bit bigger. Semi-vegetarian, bigger. And finally, the meat eater is the highest weight range of any of the groups. This was a study of over 80,000 people. The animal fat and the oil is the main driver at the cellular level. It's called myocellular lipids. They can't make it just simple. They have to make this crazy name. But the myocellular, in the cell, it gets coated with fat. The key, which is insulin, cannot get into the cell. So your sugar cannot get into the cell. It stays in the blood, and you have high blood sugar. Doctors don't know this. They're going to tell you to eat a high-fat, lots of meat diet to try to avoid carbohydrates, which gives you a sort of an improvement, but it doesn't attack the root cause of diabetes. Remember, genetics, obesity, sedentary lifestyle, and then the fat that's around the cells of the body, which keeps the key from going in, and you can't get the sugar into the cells to nourish those cells, stays in the blood, and you have high blood sugar. Again, the prevalent treatment, you see that the vegans have the lowest rate of diabetes among them. And it just keeps going up as you eat more meat and more processed foods. The blue zones, just a quick thing on the blue zones. These are the areas of the world where people live to be over 100 and are vitally living. And we see that if we look at what they all have in common in the middle, you see family, non-smoking, and the plant-based diet right in the middle. They're usually active, social engagement, very social, and the beans. I put beans in everything. I would have put beans in the granola, but my wife said, no, we can't put that in there. So I put beans in everything. Black beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, lentils. I mean, anybody here like pea soup? You either like it or you don't. I make pea soup, you know. No ham, we don't put meat in it, but we do make it good. And again, you see Loma Linda, where the highest amount of Adventists live. They live to be over 100. Then Sardinia, Italy, and then Okinawa. Okinawa, they eat sweet potatoes called oki. 80% of their diet is made up of sweet potatoes, and only 4% of their diet is animal foods. People think, well, they're eating a lot of fish in Okinawa, but they generally do not. Case study, that's me before I went on a plant-based diet. That's me now. I lost 83 pounds in 18 months. It works. I struggled with my diet all my life. When I was young, I don't know if you ever heard of husky clothes. I don't know if they have them anymore, but I was a husky kid. I had husky clothes. I went to become a dietitian so that I could be paid to talk about my obsession, which is food. And I figured I could get paid from the VA to talk about food, which I like to talk about. So I got paid a lot of money to talk about food. I was successful, not successful, but it wasn't because of me, because only 4% of the people did anything with me or the other dietitians. Because I asked them and I said, what percentage of your patients do anything? Maybe because I'm fat, I'm not getting through to them. But a lot of my patients said, well, since you're fat, you know what I'm going through. That thin girl over there, she doesn't. So we kind of had one of those things where, oh yes, we're brothers, really. But then there was some other patients that said, what do you know? You're fat, you know. So they didn't actually say it, but I heard it through the grapevine, so to speak. But yeah, the only eating plan that has kept my weight off, because remember, my average weight was 283 pounds there. Okay, now I weigh 195. I should be 175, but I still struggle with certain appetite things, maybe overeating. You can still be a vegan, no oil diet and overeat, and therefore you don't lose that last 20 pounds. But my wife and I, we do walk 2 to 4 miles every day, so it's not the exercise that's going to get you down there, it's going to be your diet. 80% of weight loss is what you eat, not your activity level. That's the first case study. There were 2 other case studies I showed you last month where people came in and they lost large amounts of weight, hundreds of pounds, and got off insulin on this whole food plant-based diet. I didn't bring those today because we wanted to get to the cooking part, which is the real fun part. So what are you going to eat? Well, you're going to eat whole food plant-based. And when I say whole food plant-based, I mean foods in their whole natural state. I mean, there are many vegan foods that are not whole foods. We call these foods junk food vegan foods, like Doritos, like Oreos. Oreos are vegan, but they're high in fat and they're high in sugar. There are some meats that are transitional that people have. The Beyond Burger and the Impossible Burger are burgers that have come out within the last 5 years, which give you a very nice hamburger-like texture, but they have a lot of fat. Not useful if you have heart disease or diabetes and trying to reverse it. But they taste good, and you're not getting the animal cholesterol, and you're not getting the inflammatory effect of animal foods that you would get. But you're still getting large amounts of fat. The Impossible Burger at Burger King, I think, has 21 grams of fat. That's 4 pats of butter equivalent. Now, your regular Whopper has 42 grams of fat. That's 8 pats of butter equivalent. So you're doing better, but you still have a lot of fat. And so when you see our sausages today, I don't know who likes Italian sausage today, but these are great. Mary's got a big smile. They have 0 fat. 0. If you ate one of those Italian sausages, you're getting 18 grams of fat. That's almost 4 pats of butter equivalent, 4 teaspoons of oil. So our sausages are very good. You can slice them and put them in a sandwich. You can make them in your spaghetti sauce. You can do a lot of things with them. They're just fantastic. No fat, 0. No cholesterol, 0. It's amazing. So you're going to eat whole foods in their natural state. What are you going to make? What's going to be the start of your diet? What are you going to put on your plate first? I'm giving you a clue. Starch, right? You're going to have starch as the main dish. Now, Dr. Furman, Joel Furman, who also reverses heart disease on diet, he says make greens the main dish. So we fiddled with that, and we always have a big salad as big as my head first, and by the time I get to my starches, I'm eating less of them. Depends on you. I mean, we have lots of lettuce. Our lettuce isn't quite as good as Bill's lettuce, but it's pretty good. And so we always have lettuce, and we have cabbage. What else is in our salad, Joan? Come on, what else is in there?
Kale, whatever greens.
Kale, right? Swiss chard, tomatoes. How about onions? We got to buy those onions by the 5-pound bag at Sam's Club, right? And then, but the cabbage, put green and red cabbage in your salad. It's fantastic. The problem with salad, if you're a no oil eater, is trying to have a salad dressing that's no oil. Now, there are some Italian dressings and there's some other dressings at the store which are fat-free. Those are helpful, but we make our own dressing because we can make it and we like to make it. But that's going to be a challenge for you if you're going to have salad. But if you go on Google or on your phone and you get online, you'll see literally 50 to 60 to 100 no-oil salad dressings that you can make with a small mini blender. That's a challenge. You can buy it. You can go to Walmart and get a fat-free dressing for $2.29. It's easy, but it's not as good as our dressings. It really tastes great. Make starch the main dish, and you'll get a great start. No oil. This is a challenge. When I went on this eating plan, giving up the animal foods was easy. Giving up the oil was a challenge. Now, as I told you last month, you might recall, or maybe I didn't tell you that, you can always tell a person's addiction by what they have on stock. And I had 6 jars of mayonnaise down in my basement on the old shelf. So you didn't want to come up short. I was using half and half in my coffee. If you drink coffee with half and half, are you going to make sure you have it in the house? You're going to make sure you have it. It's full of fat. So the oil for me, because how many people use olive oil? Anybody here? Do you use a lot of it? Probably more of it than you think. And as I said last time, I had that student in my office and I was saying, you have to focus on the oil. Tell your patients not to eat added fat. And she was going, well, I never heard that before. I know we're supposed to eat low fat, but I was told that we shouldn't eat a lot of carbs. And I'm saying, no, you eat carbs, but you don't eat fat. She went home and she came back the next day and she says, you're right, we're eating way too much fat. She figured it out. She calculated the amount of fat her family was eating, and she said, we're eating way too much fat. It's in your butter, it's in your margarine, it's in your salad dressing, it's in your chips and ice cream, it's in your cheese, it's in your lunch meat. I can keep going on and on and on. Every day you're getting 50 to 100 grams of fat. 500 to 1,000 calories just from the fat intake. It's not a health food. And you see here, per pound, the non-starchy vegetables, a pound is 100 calories. The oil, 4,000 calories a pound. Now, you're not going to eat a pound of oil, but a tablespoon of oil as big as your thumb is 150 calories, whereas a carrot as big as your thumb is 2 calories. We were going to make carrot dogs today, and I didn't think they came out that great. I think they're good, but the sausages will thrill you. But the carrot dogs, they weren't that great. You put it on a bun. Once you put the onions and all the stuff on it, it was a pretty good substitute. But the oil is full of fat. The nuts are full of fat, 2,800 calories a pound. So people would come in, my patients, and I'd say, you eat nuts? They go, yeah, nuts are good for me. How much? Well, maybe a half a can. No, you eat a handful, not a can full of nuts. If you eat all those nuts at night, you're not going to lose weight. Nuts are healthy, but you have to limit the amount. And as you go up, you see the breads, the avocados, the starches, they're only 400 calories a pound. So if you ate a pound of potatoes without oil, it's only 400 calories. Let's say you ate a pound of potatoes. Can you eat a pound of potatoes, Mary? Probably not. That's a lot of potatoes, right? It's going to fill you up and you're going to lose weight. Because let's say you ate a pound of potatoes, breakfast, lunch, and supper. 400 times 3 is 1,200 calories. You're losing weight already. The average man needs 1,800 to 2,000 calories to maintain their weight. The average woman, 1,500 calories to maintain. So if you ate 1,200 calories as a woman, you'd lose a pound a week. Tough to do when you're eating oil, and if you have occasional ice cream and cheese and some chips occasionally, you're eating in moderation. I saw a patient and I say, how's your diet? Pretty good. I go, do you ever have bacon? Once a week I have bacon and eggs. Oh, okay. How about pizza? Maybe once a week. Here we go. How about hot dogs? Once a week, maybe. Yeah, maybe twice a week. And on we go. By the time the week was over, something every day. Every day he's having something that's not healthy. But it sounded like good moderation. I only have bacon and eggs once a week, right? How much fat's in bacon and eggs and home fries? 50 grams. That's your daily allotment. The oil, the fats, they coat the cell. Key can't get in. You can't get your sugar into the cell to nourish you. That's the root cause of diabetes, along with your obesity. If you're overweight, you're going to have high blood pressure as well. I have no blood pressure pills. I was always on 2 blood pressure pills all the time. Lose about 75 pounds, no pills. What's my blood pressure, Joan? Remember last time I checked it?
128/63.
56 on the bottom. It was always 90. 90, not your borderline. Okay, I'll try a pill. And those pills, they wreck your kidneys too over time. Other benefits, here's where you really get some other benefits. The fiber. We know about the fat. This is about the fiber. The fiber helps you lose weight. The fiber prevents colon cancer. Number 3 killer in our country is colon cancer. You might know somebody that either died from it or had it. The cholesterol, if you're on lipid-lowering drugs, you don't need them. My cholesterol always ran between 180 and 200. Last check, do you remember what it was last time when I had my blood work?
173.
130. 130. No medication. It improves your immune function, and it controls your blood sugar. See, when you eat a whole food plant-based diet, the fiber that you get from it, the increased fiber just helps you. You're not getting enough fiber unless you work at it. 25 grams of fiber a day is the RDA for it. You're only getting 12. Average American gets 12 grams of fiber a day. When you have my granola in there, you're getting 7 grams of fiber right there. Throw a banana in it, you got another 3. That's 10. You're already almost halfway to your daily fiber needs. 3 ways whole food plant-based eating lowers your blood sugar. The myocellular lipids, that's the lipids that coat the cell, keep the sugar from going in. You're going to lose weight when you eat high fiber. You're going to lower your blood sugar. How does that happen? Resistant starch. Resistant starch is a starch that when you digest it does not get absorbed. It resists absorption in your gut. And that's in the beans, and that's in the oats. So you're getting beans today in the lentil loaf. You're getting oats in the granola. And are we getting oats in the other thing? No, we're getting beans in the sausage, and we're getting lentils in the... And oats. So you're getting a lot of fiber. Hope you guys are ready for it. I hope you're ready for it. And then sugar, starches, and fat are bound up in your gut, and they just go right out of your body. Fiber. When you increase the fiber by eating this way, you're going to lose weight. All right, here's the plan. I gave you that sheet last week. This is your plate. You know, you have good complex carbohydrates and bad carbohydrates. We don't push this too seriously because, as I told you last time, in Japan they eat white rice. You can't get them off it. Culturally, you can't get them off it. Don't worry about low nutrient starches unless you're eating fat with it, like these desserts and other things. But we want to focus more on these whole food complex carbohydrates. In the oats, in the beans, and the potatoes. I mean, try eating a potato without sour cream and butter. Yes, I'm finishing up. Here we go. So here's what you're going to eat. You're going to eat oats. These are the breakfasts that we eat. I'm told I'm running low, short on time. Here we go. This is we're back now. We get the potatoes. We showed you this last time.
Let's see the breakfasts again.
You said I was short on time.
Well, you are, but not that short. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Well, you have the oats. You can have them. You got the dry cereal. You got the scrambled tofu. And then you have pancakes, waffles, toast. Good?
Good.
Good. I won't tell you who I think I'm living with, Joan, because you told me not to say that anymore. All right. Can't say that. Remember that?
Right.
Right. Potatoes, mashed potatoes and gravy. Oh, it's delicious. If you like potatoes, you'll really thrive on this. In fact, there was one guy called Spudman. For a whole year, he just ate potatoes. Lost 100 pounds just eating potatoes. Every which way he wanted them. Oven fried, mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, steamed potatoes. Potatoes fried. This is with an air fryer. You don't have to add oil. Put them in your air fryer, 400 degrees. Delicious. This is, what is that? Oh, that's the Cold Cannon. That's mashed potatoes with mixed in onions, garlic, and cabbage. That's an Irish dish. You should try it. We should have made that today. It's delicious. And then we have baked potatoes. Eat your potatoes. You won't gain weight unless you add sour cream and butter. That's a challenge. I put hummus. I put salsa on my potatoes. I sometimes make a sour cream out of ground up cashews and tofu, but it is high fat. I have to watch out for the amount. Soups, black bean soup, I put black beans in everything. These are, this is another soup, I don't know what it is. And then we have the corn chowder. You can make all these things without oil. If you know how to use your computer, it's so simple. Pasta. People say pasta, you're going to gain weight on pasta. You won't gain weight as long as you don't add the oil. And if you go out, they're going to want to put oil in everything. They're going to put olive oil on it. They're going to make fettuccine Alfredo. They're going to put Parmesan cheese on it. They're going to give you oil because that keeps you coming back. This is the pasta that Joan makes. And then we have noodles. This is lo mein. If you go to a Chinese restaurant, what we do is say, make the lo mein without the oil, and they do so. Then we have the burgers. That's our black bean burger. We should make that for you. The wraps, the carrot dogs, they didn't make it today. And Joan's meatloaf. Oh, that lentil loaf, I hope you like it. We're going to even give you some gravy to put on it. Doesn't that sound good? Wow, Mary's smiling over there. Gravy, mashed potato. We didn't bring the mashed. Anyway, here we go. Then we got the rice, black beans and rice. General Toso's chicken, as my sister said, it's General Tsao, but she says Toso, T-S-O, Toso. And then we have, excuse me, the no oil fried rice. And that's me. Never, never, never give up. You can't give up by eating this style. It's a challenge. You will be tempted. We didn't go through the 5 foods that are most addicting. You're eating some of them at some time. This is my address. You can email me anytime, or you can call me anytime if you have questions or need help. 34 minutes.
Martin, could you just go back one so that they could write down?
Oh, yes, okay. That's my email address, Dr. Food. My patients used to call me Dr. Food, and MM is Martin Miller. 207-458-8693. Call me anytime. I will talk to you. I will help you. You have enough to go on now, but again, it's a question of just making that commitment and saying, okay, I'm going to take these disease-causing foods out. I'm going to get some oatmeal. You can buy a 50-pound bag of oats, which is what we do. You can get some dry cereal. I mean, you've got potatoes. Everything you got everything you need, really. It's just a question of doing. Do you have any questions? Oh, Mary.
I always thought olive oil was good for you.
Okay, I get that question a lot. Now, it is the best oil to use. Now, here's the question. Is oil high in calories?
Yeah.
Remember 150 calories in a tablespoon.
Yeah.
Does oil coat the cells coat your cells and keep your sugar from going in?
No.
Right. So when you take the oil out, if you're going to use oil, use olive oil. But if you're trying to lose weight and reverse diabetes, it goes against the root cause. And again, when you start looking at how much oil you're getting in a day, whether it's in your salad dressing, in your butter, in your margarine, in your ice cream, in your cheese, in your hot dogs, in your chips, and we keep going on, you'll see that you're eating a lot of fat. So, is olive oil the best oil to use?
If you're going to use
That's right. And as you recall, remember this, oil is very calorie dense, 150 calories in a tablespoon. So when you put it on your stir fry, or put it on your salad, or put it on your toast, or put it in your mayonnaise on your chicken sandwich or whatever, you're just getting a lot of calories that you don't think about. I mean, you look at ice cream. What's that ice cream we saw that had 25 grams of
Haagen-Dazs.
Haagen-Dazs ice cream? half a cup, 23 grams of fat. That's 5 pats of butter equivalent. So you're getting almost 400 calories in a half a cup of ice cream. So you don't really think about it because you say, well, I don't eat that ice cream that much, right? But when you have it, you're giving your cells that coating that creates the problem.
Maybe we can move question and answers.
Okay, we're going to move them in here? Okay, we're all moving in. We're moving in. I'm told I have to